Hey everyone, welcome to this new tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to draw fur. Drawing fur can be a tedious, challenging task, but with the right techniques, you can achieve realistic and lifelike results. So in this video, I'd like to share with you some of my tips to help you out. Before you begin drawing, it's essential to use a reference photo. This will help you study the fur's texture, layers, direction of growth, and how it flows. Reference photos allow you to observe the subtle variations in the fur and how it flows naturally. Pay attention to any flyaway strands or overlapping areas to capture the realistic details. So before you start drawing, find a reference photo. It's like having a cheat sheet that shows you exactly how the fur looks. You'll be able to see the layers, the direction it grows in, and all the little details that make fur look realistic. So once you've found a good reference photo with lots of detail, let's dive into the techniques. Always draw the hairs in the direction they grow. This means following the bone structure of the animal. These two things are super important for making your fur look realistic. If you draw the fur the wrong way, it'll look weird. And if you don't follow the bone structure, your drawing will definitely look flat. I'm starting the base layer of my drawing with an HB pencil. I'm using light strokes in the direction the fur grows. That's the basic idea behind starting a fur drawing. I can add layers later to make the fur look deeper and more detailed. But right now, I just want to make sure I'm drawing the hairs in the right direction. So basically what I'm doing is just doing some doodles to figure out where I want the fur to be thicker or thinner, where I want the volumes to be, and where the shadows and highlights will be. That's what the first layer is for, to figure out which way the hairs should go and to find the volumes. It's easier to fix mistakes if you start out lightly, which is why using layers is so helpful. And also that's why I'm using an HB pencil here. When I draw animal fur, I always work in layers because real fur is made up of layers. So if you don't work in layers, your fur will end up looking flat instead of having a 3D fairy effect. That's why I'm building up layers, starting with a light one and adding more layers later to create depth. When I draw short fur, I draw each individual hair. It's time consuming, but it's worth it to make it look realistic. Don't be afraid to leave tiny gaps between the hairs. You want them to stand out individually. If you try to fill in every single space, you won't get that realistic texture. Once the first layer is done, I sharpen my HB pencil and use a bit more pressure to create a softer look. I go over the drawing with more pressure and darken some areas. I filled in some gaps that were too bold and defined some shadows. This is the sort of creating that 3D effect. Then I go over with the second layer using my B graphite pencil. I fill in some more gaps and define some more shadows. I put the shadows in the places where I want the clumps of the fur to stick out or come forward, which will create the 3D effect. Then it's time for the next layer. I switch between my HB and B pencils to create a better effect. I make sure there are some little hairs sticking out, but I still follow the shape and draw the hairs in the right direction. For longer furs, use longer strokes. It's better to divide the fur into shapes or clumps instead of drawing every hair individually. Otherwise, your fur might end up looking wiry. With short fur, we focus on drawing individual hairs. But with long fur, the most important thing is to get the shadows in the right place. For the final layer, I always use my 6B graphite pencil. Those are the basic techniques you can use to draw any fairy animal. It's basically a matter of working in layers and adding shadows until you get the right shade and the right texture. Try not to rush with this because you can't draw something realistically if you don't spend much time for it. So take your time and try to be patient, and that alone will really make a huge difference in your drawings. For the final touches, you can use any eraser you have at home to add some highlights to the drawing. The last big tip is simply practice. Practice over and over again until you get better. It takes a lot of time to improve, but it will get easier over time. And I think that brings us to the end of this video. I really hope you liked it. I want to thank you for watching this tutorial, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye!